So, it was another awesome Super Bowl last night and lots of commercials, but there were only two commercials for EVs, or maybe two and a half if you count that Volkswagen ad, which I'll explain later. So, were those ads good? Would they make you buy an EV if you weren't an EV type person? I don't know. And obviously, yes, I'm a Browns fan, so my team will probably never be in the Super Bowl. But anyway, it's Monday, February 12th. Let's get to it. So it was another awesome Super Bowl game. Went into overtime right to the end. And of course, no surprise, Patrick Mahomes pulled it out, unfortunately, for Niners fans. So if you're a 49ers fan like my son today, you're probably feeling a little hurt today. It's going to take a little bit to get over it because that was kind of a rough loss. But I mean, you don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the guy, he's probably the best quarterback to have ever come along, and I'm a guy from the Northeast. And even though I'm a Browns fan, I'm a Tom Brady fan. Living here in the Northeast, I watched all of his greatness for 20 years, and yeah. So, but Patrick Mahomes, if anybody's got a chance to catch Brady, it's definitely him. That guy is, I mean, otherworldly. I mean, just look what he's doing. But anyways, we're not here to talk about football. We're here to talk about the ads for EVs during the Super Bowl and whether or not they were any good. Would they convince anybody who is not already sort of an EV person to make the jump? And the EV9 ad, like the heartstring things. Like maybe it's me. Like I don't have a heart. I guess I don't know. The whole pulling the heartstring thing never really works for me in any kind of ad for whatever it's for. I was kind of just like, don't really care. That, you know, maybe it's like aimed at the moms out there. I don't know. Like, I don't know. And then just the fact, the whole purpose of the ad. I mean, I know it was like the little girl ice skating and grandpa wasn't there. And then dad brings her up to their fancy house in the mountains. He, drives the EV9 up through the mountains, I guess kind of showing that it can do that. And, they turn the lights on their personal pond and the girl does her routine and grandpa writes the 10 in the window. And that's all cute and everything. But I don't know, to me, it just comes off as like almost like a Lexus ad or, like a Mercedes ad. It's like these people obviously are well off, like it doesn't, that ad didn't say to me like average family vehicle, which is I think what the EV9 is. It's an SUV. I mean, if you look at where the Telluride goes, I mean, the Telluride was a big hit because it's a family SUV, and the EV9 is basically the electric version of that. And I mean, I just think it would have been better to show, like, if you're going to do the whole family angle, it would have been better to do like taking the kids to soccer practice, picking them up at school, being able to go to Costco and load it up with all your stuff. Like that to me would have been more like, yeah, yes, it's electric, but it does all the stuff. I mean, I think some people just don't understand what EVs really do. They think they're kind of weird or different. And I think it would have been better to just be like, no, this is just an SUV. It just happens that you don't have to put gas in it. I think that would have been a smarter play, but maybe that's just me. You guys tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. Then there's the BMW, the i5 ad with Christopher Walken, which I like the ad. I don't know if it's going to get anybody to buy EVs, but it was funny. I mean, anytime you have someone doing the Christopher Walken voice saying, oh, I'll drive this electric car. Sorry, that's a terrible impression, but that was the whole point of the ad, right? So, terrible impressions of him. It was funny. It was light. Usher was in it. That was cool. But it was like, I don't know if, again, it's like, it's for BMW. So is the average like person watching the Super Bowl last night going to be like, oh, let's run out and buy a BMW electric, car? Like, probably not. So I don't know how effective it is at getting more people into EVs. Maybe people that can afford a BMW would be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll look at that. I don't know. So I'm not sure. Like, I think the ad was good. It was funny. It was, light and all that, but I don't know if it's going to get anybody to buy EVs. And then the VW ad wasn't really meant to be an EV ad, but to me it kind of was because, it was the whole history of them, their 75-year history in the U.S., starting with the Beetle, going on through the VW bus, which they made a point to show, and kind of thought they were real heavy on the 60s history, which obviously led up to the end of the ad, which was the ID4, and then the doors open on the container, and here comes the id.buzz. And so to me, it was kind of like, yeah, here's where cars were, and here's where they're going. Like we're moving into an electric age. It's a transition, and I thought that was almost more effective as an EV ad than the ads that were specific for EVs, because it was kind of saying like, yeah, VW always been here for you, and we're going to continue to be here for you. And EVs are just the next evolution in what we're doing, and next, evolution in automotive technology, I guess. And so I thought that was kind of a cool ad. It wasn't super funny, or it was kind of nostalgic a little bit, but I just think it was a good sort of way to explain the transition to EVs, even if that maybe wasn't meant, what it was meant to do. So I thought that was pretty cool. So the one thing though, like just sort of looking at Ad Week today, and I think kind of, makes my point about these ads, is that there's a gap in education about EVs. So none of the ads dealt with that, basically explaining to people who don't know anything about EVs how they function. I mean, maybe it would be crazy to spend like $3.5 million or $4 million or whatever hell it is to buy a Super Bowl ad, to just explain how EVs work, like, how you can charge at home, the way DC fast charging works, what level 2 versus DCFC is, that kind of stuff, for people that don't know, because probably most of the people watching this video right now know what all that stuff is, right? I know what all that stuff is. I know how EVs work, but the general public doesn't. I mean, I made a video about a week or so ago about going out with the family, my wife's family, and everybody's like, why do you drive an electric car? They don't work. They freeze in the winter. They catch fire, blah, 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 blah. And I think that's, people just don't get it. And I think to really see a mass adoption of electric vehicles, we've got to bridge that education gap. So, if you're going to do EV ads, I think a lot of these car companies would behoove themselves to include at least part of the ad in how, explaining how easy it is to charge at home, how, the EV charging infrastructure is improving every day, as more NEVI-funded chargers go on the ground, as the Tesla supercharging network is opening up. I'm sure most car companies don't want to talk about Tesla in their ads. But with that new IONNA, I don't know if it's pronounced Iona, whatever it is, this new consortium with the several vehicle makers, I forget which ones it is, Stellantis, I think Honda, I forget the other ones, planning to really ramp up DC fast charging across North America, which of course we'll see if that actually happens. But it's encouraging that they're doing it, and it's the automakers that are doing it, because that's the lesson to learn from Tesla, right? Is install the chargers so that people will buy the EVs. If they feel confident they'll be able to charge them, they will buy them, right? So I think that's really the biggest thing that I didn't see in any of the ads, was any kind of education for the average person that doesn't understand EVs today, that's never driven one, and just, sees this BS in the media, like, how they actually work. So I think that would be the best thing that they could do, but maybe the Super Bowl isn't the best time. I don't know. To me, it is, because everybody's watching. So it's a great time to sort of explain all that stuff. So anyway, typical Super Bowl, like some of the commercials were really good. Some of them, most of them were not. I mean, that's typical every year. There's all this hype, and then it's kind of like, there's only like a few that were actually any good. But I think the best ad of all had nothing to do with EVs. And if you're from the Northeast, you'll get it, kid. That the Dunkins ad with Affleck and Damon and Tom Brady. Like I said, if you're from the Northeast, you get it. Just the whole, how do you like them donuts? I mean, it was stupid. It was funny. Tom Brady, keeping a straight face through the whole thing was pretty funny. There's probably plenty of people out there that think that ad was really dumb. I don't know. I thought it was hilarious, and Beyonce's ad because I mean Beyonce, right? There's nobody's perfect, but I think Beyonce is like just about there. She's pretty close to perfect. And I just love the Beyonce eye was awesome, and then that she's running for Beyonce of the United States. BOTUS was fantastic. So, I guess it was for Verizon. Some of those ads, like you don't even remember what they're really for, but Beyonce is just, what can you say? She's Beyonce, Queen Bee, baby. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the game, enjoyed the commercials, and just remember, as always, EVs are awesome, and it's okay to be awesome. See you guys tomorrow.